Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. Yeah, I tell you what, there is not a shortage of stories out here at all. And as you can see, we got somebody trying to glorify slave owners, and it was not the slave owners, it was the actual slaves that built the nation. But I guess you take credit where you try to steal it from, because that's all they're doing. And look, I remember when I was going to school, these folks used to be on this supervisor thing. Oh, well, the supervisor was really responsible for everything, during slavery. You know how I shut them down? When I started learning about slavery in the South, and after the Civil War, the South went through a famine. And I looked at these same people that was on this supervisor thing and I said, well, if the supervisor is all that, then why didn't they stop the famine when that hit the South? You had all the supervisors down there. Why didn't you stop it? They didn't speak that supervisor stuff ever again in class. I mean, oh boy. No, there is no praise because you owned a slave. No, there is absolutely no praise for it at all. So there was an interview between Fox News host Brian Kilmeade and Charlie Kirk recently. And he went rambling on about the slave owners. And, they tend to be on this kick. Oh, if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. First of all, these folks don't have no right to tell anybody to leave this country. If anybody should be the first one out, it should be them. They stole the place. So, don't ever respond to them when they say that they don't have a leg to stand on, telling somebody to leave the country if you don't like this. So, what you're really saying is if we won't accept your abuse and we won't just be quiet and just take it, then we can leave. I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. So let me go ahead and I'm going to set up the video so you can see it. All right. Okay. Is that the one? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. All right. Please give me a one if you can see the screen. Please give me a one if you can see the screen. Thank you, dark skin brother. All right. All right. So let me go ahead and play this video for you.
But for the most part, we are a country that was born like every other country. Every continent had slaves. In the South, most houses, most plantations had slaves. Nobody condones it. But without those slave owners, we don't have a country. So you make your choice. I mean, if you don't like our country, travel, and if you find a place better, stay and stop messing with our past. So we create our own events. And in the beginning, I thought it was just going to be great just to be able to sell books. Now it's like a mission on to win the war on history, because the 1619 Project was the formal first salvo, but it's been happening for quite a long time. I mean, I'm older than you, and in 1976, I was in grade school, and they launched this thing called Roots, the most successful miniseries ever, averaged 60 million a night. It was the story of slavery in all its brutality. Nobody was ever ducking our past. I don't know what people were talking about. And no one ever said, oh, segregation, not that bad. Slavery, well, it happens. Nobody, Republican or Democrat, especially because most of these people were Democrats. They kept on pushing to keep it and tried to almost reinstall it in the 20th century. Having said that, we've come a long way.
Now, I can virtually tear apart everything this man said. Tiki, thank you so much for the super sticker. Now let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back because I want to touch on something that he said. Now, when it comes down to slavery, you know how these people always deny people, oh, nobody in my family ever had a slave. Nobody in my family. You know how they love sitting around and saying that. How you doing, LVZ? And we know a lot of them had slaves. So I want y'all to think about, oh, less than 1% of the people had slaves. Now, we know that ain't true, right? And they're stupid for even saying that to us. But listen to how he starts out, which debunks the people that say only 1% or less than 1% had a slave. So let me play this again, and I'm going to stop it when he gets to that part.
But for the most part, we are a country that was born like every other country. Every continent had slaves. In the South, most houses, most plantations had slaves.
Now, If most houses and most plantations had slaves, then that is way more than just 1% of the people. Do y'all know up in New York, New York had slavery? Over 50% of the population in New York at that time had slaves. So, how does that add up to less than 1%? So, he's pretty much outing them. He's outing them right there in that one comment. So now, how are you going to come back and say it was less than 1% of you that had slaves? The vast majority of you had them. And I know it's true because when I worked around white people, they used to tell me, yeah, I know the slave owners in my family, or I was told about the slave owners in my family. They know exactly which relatives, they know the relative name in their family that had slaves. I had too many of them tell me that, y'all, to believe that it's less than 1%, you know? So if anybody's trying to change or rewrite history, it's the people that look like him. It's not us. We don't have a cause or reason to change the history. We've been standing on our square and saying that we are descendants of slaves forever now. We have never tried to change that narrative about ourselves. But them, on the other hand, they're the ones always denying nobody in my family had a slave. Then you're the one denying history, then. It's you. Okay. So when he's rambling on about that, look, you got red states right now that are changing history books. We know Florida is the biggest one we heard, but it's not just Florida. It's in a lot of these red states. They're all doing the same thing Florida did. So his people are the ones that are guilty of changing the history. So let's go on.
Nobody condones it. But without those slave owners, we don't have a country. So you make your choice. I mean, if you don't like our country, travel. And if you find a place better, stay.
First of all, this was a country before they came over here and stole it. It was a country. It was people living here. It was people living here for a long time. These folks had homes. Do y'all know there were established cities in this country? The cities are not new. The cities, some of these cities were here when they showed up. And I might go over the cities with y'all one day. And these cities are way older than what they have dated them. And just next time you go into the city, take a look at some of the buildings. The buildings are old, especially some of the real big concrete buildings. Those buildings are old. They've already been here for a few centuries. A lot of the ports that you see in this country, some of those ports have been here. They were here when they showed up. These folks have told so many lies, and they make it seem like nothing was built up in the country until they showed up. That is a lie. That is a lie. There were homes, there were roads, there were buildings and everything here. Don't let them try to make it seem like people were walking around with a cloth tied around them and did not have homes, and we were living like a bunch of animals. Don't let them make you believe that. This place had established homes. When they came over here, they stole the homes from the natives. They went through the native family out and they moved in. How did you do that if there weren't any homes here? So, no, they didn't make this place livable. The place was already livable when they got here. Okay, so don't let them tell you that. You know, maybe one day I'll do either a live stream or a video so I can show you the ages of some of these locations around the earth that they have colonized. And there are locations and places that are still standing from centuries ago. So, no, they didn't build up everything here. But if you listen to them, you would believe they did, and they absolutely did not. Okay? They absolutely did not do everything when they got here. It was a lot already here. So let's go on to what he's saying. And as far as go somewhere else, you know, they don't have no right. Okay. The people that stole the land don't have any right to tell somebody else to go somewhere else. They should go somewhere else. All right.
and stop messing with our past.
Again, who is changing history? Who in the news have we heard about changing history? It's not us. Who have we heard? Ron DeSantis is probably the biggest one we've heard in everything going on in Florida and him eliminating the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs all around the state. You know, it's them that are changing the history. And remember, he's letting Prager, yeah, I think the history is Prager kids. So you're letting Prager write the history for the children. And I heard samples of that history, and it's all straight up lies. All of it is. Thank you, Melon and Future, for the super sticker. Thank you very much. All right, let's go on.
So we create our own events. And in the beginning, I thought it was just going to be great just to be able to sell books. Now it's like a mission on a war to win the war on history, because the 1619 project was the formal first salvo, but it's been happening for quite a long time. I mean, I'm older than you, and in 1976, I was in grade school, and they launched this thing called Roots, the most successful miniseries ever, averaged 60 million a night. It was the story of slavery in all its brutality. Nobody was ever ducking our past. I don't know what people.
Yes, y'all do. You are the biggest ones trying to shut us down when we talk about that history. They are the biggest ones that try to shut us down when we talk about reparations. They are the biggest deniers of doing anything to us, even to this day. Like if you start talking, what do they say? I didn't do it. I didn't do that. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Don't they do that? So if he wants to address deniers of history, then he needs to address his own people, because y'all are the biggest deniers of history. We don't deny no history. We don't at all. But y'all, oh man, if I had $1 each time one of them said, nobody in my family had a slave, I would be filthy rich right now. Okay, or the ones, "I didn't do it. I didn't," I would be filthy rich. I done heard that a million times. But it's funny how he's talking about people changing the history or denying, but he needs to address his own people on that because they are the biggest ones doing it.
We're talking about. And no one ever said, oh, segregation, not that bad. Slavery, well, it happens.
Actually, I have heard people that look like him say slavery was not that bad. Have any of you ever heard this? I have. I've heard them say that. Or, or if you bring up all the discrimination, what did they back in the day? They used to say, oh, just ignore it. Just ignore it. Don't you ever ignore it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ignore it, they'll just railroad you. If you don't defend yourself or stand up, they will railroad you. That's BS advice. Ignore it. That's BS advice. They'll just come and railroad you. And if you work around them, they'll be intimidating you and coming and terrorizing you every day because they know you're going to ignore it or you're not going to stand up for yourself. That's the worst advice ever.
Nobody, Republican or Democrat, especially because most of these people were Democrats. They kept on pushing.
You know what? I hear that a lot from politicians. Both were full participants in our oppression. Don't let them sit in your face and tell you, oh, it was more the Democrats than the Republicans. No, it was both of them. They are both full participants in our oppression. They are full participants when it comes down to policing. They are full participants when it came down to Joe Biden's crime bill. When it came down to us being mass incarcerated, both sides were full participants. And don't let them tell you otherwise. Oh, it was the Democrats. Oh, was it? No, y'all participated on the Republican side too. Y'all have been racist towards us too. Y'all have been using discriminatory practices towards us too. So y'all can miss us with that. It's the Democrat stuff. Y'all can miss us all. Y'all can miss us all. And another famous thing they love saying, it was the government. It was the government. Well, who the hell is the government? The government is a bunch of white people. Okay. Who was the government back during chattel slavery? White people. Who was the government during Reconstruction? White people. Who was the government during Jim Crow and civil rights and white people? So you can miss us all with that. It wasn't us, it was the government. Y'all are the government. Okay. Yeah. Miss us all with that. So let's go on.
To keep it and try to almost reinstall it in the 20th century. Having said that, we've come a long way.
No, we haven't. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, if we still got to talk about racism, discrimination, and all of the disparities that are going on, we have not come a long way at all, especially when you can go online and pull up a video from the 1960s and they were talking the same way we are talking today. Hell no, we did not come a long way. We certainly did not come far enough. And as far as I'm concerned, everything he just said, we need reparations. We need reparations because not only we have never been made whole, we got them now lying and trying to rewrite the history and then eventually denied that slavery ever happened. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's not written anywhere that it happened. Yeah, they would be crazy enough to do that. Okay? This is why we need reparations. We don't need no more rambling. We don't need no more studies. We don't need no more task force. We need them to sit their ass down and cut the damn check. That's what we need them to do. All right. Not only not only stolen labor, but they have stolen and robbed us out of our lives. Anytime you put somebody that never committed a crime in jail for 30, 40 years, you rob that person out of their life. Anytime we can't get promoted at the same rate that white people and we're busting our butts on these jobs and you can't get a promotion and many of them got less experience than you and they're sailing right past, then you robbed us out of any good opportunities. We've been robbed out of a lot of things. We get robbed out of our homes and our land through eminent domain, or these developers looking for elderly Black men and women to rob them of their land and their homes. So we've been robbed economically. So He can miss us with all this crap that he's saying. All right, so let's get into this one, y'all. Mm, mm, mm. Let's see here. Share my screen again. Okay, slavery, even to this very day, is the biggest capitalism that this country reaped the benefits off of and still reaping the benefits of it to this very day. If these people were so capable, they could have came over here and built everything up with their own two hands. But instead of doing that, they ran and got slaves. So, no, so when you make the claim that you did it all yourself, you don't even do it all yourself, even to this very day. I mean, let's be real. Y'all don't do it all yourself this very day. And, oh, we got a troll. Oh, we got a troll. We got a troll. We got trolls. We got trolls. What, feeling butt sore? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about you feeling butt sore. Okay, y'all. My moderators, I need you to step in and get rid of these people. Do not time them out. Get rid of them. Boy, you know what? You know that saying, the hit dog? When you throw a stone, you know which dog was hit because that's the one that's hollering the loudest. Yeah, we got some dogs that been hit in the comment section. Woo! I must be doing good over here. I must be doing real good over here, y'all. I got the screaming dogs all in the comment section. Thank you, y'all. Please take care of the trolls that are moderators. Get these people out of here. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're here or not. The show will go on. So let me just get to this. All right, y'all. So let's get to the story. So, Fox News host praise slave owners because we don't have a country without them. And y'all know, we know the only trolls are them. We don't go trolling like that. They're the only trolls on social media. So, anyway, Fox News host Brian Kilmeade praised slave owners because he said the United States of America would not exist without them. Kilmeade made the remarks on the Charlie Kirk show Monday while promoting his book about Booker T. Washington and President Theodore Roosevelt. And that's another thing. Why do y'all always got to make your money off of books on black folks? Booker T. Washington? What is this man writing a book on Booker T. Washington? Aren't there people in his own community he can write about? I'm just saying. So, but for the most part, we are a country that was born like every other country. Every continent had slaves. That's not true, actually. That's not true. Every country did not have slaves. That's not true. So he goes on, and despite the fact that his people run around and say less than 1% had slaves, he went on to say in the South, most houses, most plantations had slaves. So that would mean the majority of you had slaves. Nobody condones it. But without those slave owners, we don't have a country. No, without the slaves, you don't have a country. Those slave owners wouldn't have been able to go out there and do squat. No, without the slaves, you wouldn't have a country. That's why you're bringing those immigrants over here now, because in order for your country to keep moving, you need those slave hands out there, because that's all the migrants are, or the immigrants, or whatever you're calling them. You just got a new class of slaves that you're bringing in. Okay, it's not owners of these farms that are getting the work done. These migrants are getting the work done. They're getting it done. Okay, it's not the owners of the farm. That's why they are running after those immigrants and those what you call migrants coming across, because you're not even doing it all on your own, even to this very day. That's proof right there that you got to have all of these migrants here to do these remedial jobs that y'all won't do. So, no, not only did you not do it all back then, you're not doing it all even to this very day. So let's go on. So that slave owner crap is BS. So he goes on and talks about the 1619 project, and he makes all these claims that nobody is trying to change history. We see what's going on in Florida along with red states. You are trying to change the history, but it's all in vain. You're trying to change the history at a time when many people know the history. Go figure. So and then he goes on and denies that segregation, nobody thought, segregation was not bad, or slavery, well, it happens. Well, actually, you did. That's why there was separate but equal in the country. And things were very segregated and still is. And depending on what part of the country you live in, it is still like that. Where my dad comes out of, Irwin County, Georgia, Irwin County, Georgia never integrated. It is still segregated down there. Many of these rural towns in this country have never integrated. They are still very segregated. So I don't know what he's talking about. Even when you look like on a Sunday, right? Today is Sunday. This is a big day when people go to church, and it's still very segregated. You still got the black church, you got the white evangelicals, you got your Catholics, and these churches are very much segregated. You might have some that are integrated in there, but for the most part, the majority of these churches are still very segregated. So I don't know what Brian Kilmeade. I'm trying to figure out what country he lives in, because he talks like he don't know anything about things like this. Where does he live? Okay, for him to be so ignorant of the history. Where does he live? So, ladies and gentlemen, this just go to show you the trolling is an inside job. These are people that are contractors for YouTube that are doing this. They are. Just letting you know. This is an inside job. These are not people coming in randomly. These are people that are sitting there as contractors, and they got a problem with Black channels, so they come out and troll. That's all this is. So everybody, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. And you know what? I click on one of the trolls, and then when this live stream is over, this is what they're going to do. They're going to disable these accounts so that everything they put in the chat will disappear. That's what they're going to do. And that's another indicator that it's inside people. So, y'all, thank you for being here. And I really appreciate our time together. And I'll be right back at another time with a different topic. Shalom, family.